Evet, alkışlarınızla N11 Strateji ve Planlamadan Sorumlu Genel Müdür Yardımcısı Yu-Shik kimi buraya davet etmek istiyorum. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, every year at the same conference we see each other.
Yeah, I think it's my fourth year now.
Yeah, so it's great seeing you again. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
The stage is yours.
Okay. I think the last 3 years I used the podium. I think everybody today is the way is to stand in the middle. I try to stand in the middle and talk about my side today. Thanks for having me again. It's my first year this time, and I think the first year I talked about 11 stories, 11 questions. I talked about our company. The second year I talked about mobile strategy, how we define the mobile strategy and how we think about the future about mobile. Third year, the last year, I think I talked about the first in Turkey because there were a lot of different initiatives that we introduced, including also the 11-11 that we did almost every year. This year, today, I want to talk about the bigger picture. So it's about how to grow the ecosystem as a whole. Because we are always saying that Turkey has big potential in e-commerce, and e-commerce is a big growth factor in Turkey. I would like to take the opportunity to take a little bit to talk about the ecosystem and what each player within the ecosystem can do to enhance and to play a pivotal role in growing the ecosystem together. First, I think there's a grand vision in 2023, yeah, about the 100th anniversary and so on, and there were a lot of numbers coming in the newspapers. First of all, the number that I see here is about 300 billion Turkish lira in 2023. Yeah, 350 billion Turkish lira, which is very, very aggressive goal, given the fact that today, roughly the target of this year's market size is about 50 billion. 50 billion, even though seems a little bit very stretched for me, but 50 billion versus in 5 years, 350 billion is about 7 times the size. And as a vision, I think it's a very aggressive, very audacious, and very big. But let's see what compared to the other companies, to the other countries where Turkey lies. For example, if you take the e-retail share in total GDP, how does Turkey stand compared to the other countries? Here we have South Korea, 3.1%. This is of total GDP. UK, 2.8%. USA, 1.7%. And Turkey is about 0.7% of total GDP. Now, what does it say? It says that compared to the other, more advanced in e-commerce or in retail countries, Turkey has much room to grow. Yeah? So it's about less than 1% compared to the others who have almost 3%. There is still much room to grow. Now, if you look a little bit deeper into some relative index, and I think my colleague in İşbank, he had some similar numbers, and I was glad about that. But if you see the e-retail penetration rate of total retail, e-commerce penetration rate of total e-commerce, how does that stand out? There's some estimation of 2018. Here, again, we can see that South Korea, 23%, UK, 17%, USA, 12%, and Turkey is about roughly 3.8 and 3.9. So, for example, South Korea, where I come from, 1/4 of total retail consumption is done on e-commerce. Yeah, so people, every one time out of 4 times, they buy, instead of going to offline, they buy something on retail, on e-commerce. And that is pretty much because it gives a lot of more convenience, but also in order to enable that, all the infrastructure must be also at place. Yeah? So here you can see it's a little bit closer, 6 times or 4 times more room, upside room, which can achieve the 7 times more audacious goal of 350 billion TL. Now to look into the key ecosystem players, then what each player within the ecosystem needs to do. First of all, if you see, I mean, for N11 as a marketplace, we are looking into 7 different players, 6 different players. So seller, buyer, logistics, payment, regulations, and technology. Those are the very key the key success factors in the e-commerce, in this ecosystem. And I think to share what our plan is, and also to share what we hope and what we expect from these players is one of the key factors to enable the growth again. So let's talk about one by one. First of all, in terms of the sellers, how many sellers are here in Turkey who are eligible or who are kind of ready to be a part of this e-commerce? Now we're talking about 3.1 million overall SMEs, yeah? 3.1 million SMEs. And out of 3.1 million, 2.3 million are sales with less than 1 million. And 0.8 million are about who has sales more than 1 million TL. Out of those, how many do we have as a seller registered on N11? 80,000 only. We have only 80,000, which I think for a 5-year company is also big. But there's a lot of potentials, and it is still only 10% of, if you only think about the 0.8 million sales with more than 1 million TL. Yeah? And there's a lot of more upside potential to grow. And what do we need to do? Here, what our plan is to acquire, onboard a lot of those SMEs online. There's also a famous tagline here in Turkey nowadays. A key trend is SME digitalization. And I think we would like to play a key role in that role. Digitalize SMEs means not only changing all the infras into digitalization. It also means that provide the infrastructure to sell better and more, to sell better and also to manage your selling practices better. In other words, the key is how to empower the SMEs. Yeah? And this is what our main focus is. We have established 4 regional offices because most of those SMEs not only in Istanbul but also in regional offices, in the regional areas. So what we did is we have established 4 different regional offices whose main goal is to reach out to those SMEs in the regions, talk to them, provide them solutions, provide them help in training, and also make sure that they can enlarge their business via new technology and via the e-commerce channel. And this happened since the beginning. Even though it was a big cost issue for us, we thought that one of the key important factors is to bring those diverse and variety of SMEs on board. Now we are planning to enlarge the 4 regional offices into more, 6 or 10 in the future. But also, not only in the regional office, but also here in Istanbul, we saw those potentials. Recently, I've been, for example, to the area to İTOÇ, where there is a huge, small to medium size of e-commerce SMEs who did a lot of business in the traditional way, but which I see they can enlarge a lot of their business if they add on one channel, which is the online channel. Yeah? And we are here to also, we plan to also establish an office there and to engage with them and lower down the barrier, because most of them that I heard of are either they have no big knowledge about e-commerce, or they are not full aware of it and don't know how to do. We try to enable their knowledge, increase the knowledge, and help them increase. So this is one big homework that not only we do, but also we hope every player in the whole ecosystem will be also a part of it. The second one is about the buyer. Yeah, so the buyer, we're talking about Turkish has a big population, very young population, and very growing population. We're talking about 80 million population as a whole, even though 80 million, but only 16 million of them are e-commerce experience, which means that only 16 to 17 million has at least only one time e-commerce sales experience. In other words, it means that the remaining 63 million have not any e-commerce experience before. Now, of course, there is some mandate to increase the frequency and nurture the 16 million more. But also, on the other hand, the focus here is how to bring the remaining non-consumption on board. Yeah? So, I mean, there are a lot of nowadays keywords about strategic moves of how to compete with non-consumption. Non-consumption, if you look from a different perspective and look from those ideas who are not consuming anyway, then you can come up with a different strategy. Here, our main goal is not to only to reinforce the existing players, but also bringing the non-consumption, the remaining 63, on board. And we will start with the ones who have internet access, but has not done any e-commerce shopping before. And how we do it, how we do this is a lot of different products, a lot of different services to bring them on board. And this we will do continuously. The next one is about logistics. Yeah. And one part of bringing those before mentioned non-consumption on board is to lowering down the pain points. Yeah? And one of the biggest pain points of e-commerce, if you do the survey or if you talk with the customers, they say they have some problems, especially in delivery. Yeah? In delivery, especially on the last mile delivery, on the return hassle, and very inconvenience acceptance. For example, you have to be at home, you cannot plan ahead. And once you're not at home, then you have to go to certain places to receive the goods again. So these are all some places, some hassles that will not appear if you go offline. But once, on the other hand, if you succeed to reduce this kind of pain points, then there is a lot of opportunity also. So there's also some saying that the core of e-commerce is not on the product or also on the product or on the price, but on the delivery. Yeah, the delivery. How seamless and how convenient, hassle-free you can deliver the product. This is one of the key that can be done to getting more on those non-consumptions on board. Yeah? So combined efforts with logistic companies is a big, because you need to have a lot of investments in warehouse and also in deliveries. And same-day delivery is becoming more and more kind of requested. Now you're talking about a window of 1 or 2 hours. Yeah? Better delivery and product services, especially for large items like furniture and like the white goods. What our key problems right now is how to combine the delivery with the installation, because this is one of those key issues that has been in the market for such a long time. So we try to solve this kind of problem one by one, yeah? And innovative solutions of coming up with some convenient tracking or convenient notifying. Those all items are the things that we can do not only as a marketplace, but together with delivery companies, logistics companies, we plan to collaborate a lot and provide a seamless and very unique delivery experience to the customer. The next is about the payment. And here, payment, I know that there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of movements within the sector. Payment is one of also another key of lowering down the entry barrier of non-consumptions. But here, my focus point here is we need to focus on alternative payment, not only the payment that we are doing right now. For example, N11, we are in collaboration with 7 different banks, 7 different POS, and so on. But we need to think about the future, and also if you want to embrace the non-consumptions, and also if you want to embrace the SMEs who are not financially eligible or very financially up to date, we need to provide with them some other tools which are not traditionally valid. Yeah? So we're focusing on direct payment methodologies, phone bills methodologies, customer loans, and also some, not only are they focusing on the non-consumptions, but those kind of different methodologies are critical if you want to expand the category into bigger items. For example, if you want to sell cars, which we did in last time in November, one reason why we could sell 111 cars in short than 1 hour is because of the ability to do direct payment. And this cannot be done with the credit card. Yeah? So direct payment, for example. Also, not only cars in the future, we're talking about even selling real estates, like this kind of a big bulk of tradings. And those kind of things needs to be embedded also with alternative payment methodologies. The next is about regulations, and I know that the Turkish government, they are very cultivating and fostering the e-commerce. I think also that's why they put a lot of incentives on CBT, put also some kind of tax incentives. And also the recent news I'm hearing is about they try to introduce the trust stamping promotions in order to provide some certificates and make sure that there will be no fraud or no misuse of internet. I think these are all positive signs, and in order to make it real, applicable, we need to, as a player within the ecosystem, we need to open up a very open channel with the government, and this is we need to utilize the associations and remind them of what is useful and what is in reality what is possible and so on. And this is what I think not only N11 but everybody in the sector should communicate very actively about those kind of policies that would fuel and enhance the ecosystem further. The last one is about technology, and I think, as all you know, there is a lot of talks about, in all trends, there are talks about new technologies, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, M2M machine learning, yeah? And also IoT, big data, and blockchains. So in terms of the e-commerce, artificial intelligence and machine learning is very, very important because it can provide you, based on your past behavior, exact personalized information for your next purchase or for your behavior. Yeah? IoT nowadays, if you imagine everything now is connected, not only at home but also in the office, every detail, every item is connected over the internet, it can provide you very convenience, and also it can change your behavior. Instead of one click, for example, now companies are trying to reduce the click motion and put everything on the voice. So that's what the dash button comes ahead, and also the those kind of speaking devices which are directly connected with e-commerce activities. Yeah? Big data, of course, it is the key of all digital activities. The more you have, the better you can. If you connect also now the not only your personal and your past behavior data, but also including with your outside data plus the data that you're looking for, then you can come up with a very powerful proposition and provide a very predictive kind of analysis on how you can target the customers and how you can make and how you can increase the sales. So big data is the key in this sentence. Blockchain, I mean, it's too much. Now the keyword blockchain, every word, every second word is about blockchain and so on, which might revolutionize the industry and also turn around the whole ecosystem as a whole. But I think all those kind of trends of the key technologies, they are here. They are not far away from the future. They are around here in the corner. And it's very important for each player in the ecosystem to embrace them as a whole and to initiate them and have them as one of the key facilitator to increase the ecosystem. Yeah? So these were all the key constituents in the ecosystem. First, I talked about seller. There are some keywords for each group. First of all, seller. The keyword I think is SME digitalization and empower the sellers to come on board. Second, about the buyer. Not only focus on the incumbents, but also focus on the non-consumption. Yeah? Bringing more and more those who have never have the experience, bringing them on board. Third, about the payment, is about alternative payment. Yeah? So we need to develop more on the alternative payment. Fourth, about the logistics. We need to think about collaboration with the big logistics companies and delivery companies to come up with seamless delivery opportunities. Regulation-wise, we need to collaborate and communicate with the government to come up with a real, applicable and practical solutions of any policies. The last one is about technology. Technology, embrace the technology and come up with solutions that can provide a better experience of all. If we all, those six constituents, all work together and do the job, I think then the seeming very audacious and very far away target of 350 billion in 2023 is not that far away. And I think we can somehow achieve that goal. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.